A few weeks ago, a video went viral showing a businesswoman in Abuja complaining of a fine imposed on her by the Abuja Municipal Area Council for using a generator in a place of business. But all is not as it seems, and we'll give you the actual story in our focus on the FCT. She's not the only one. Many facilities across the country have been sealed for violating Nigeria's environmental pollution laws. My guest walks us through Nigeria's environmental laws. Developing countries like Nigeria are basically paying for a crime committed by developed countries. So when we insist on these laws and levies, are we not treating a symptom and ignoring the actual disease? This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin this week with the major stories making the headlines in the nation's capital.
President Muhammadu Buhari met with the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, where a number of national issues were discussed, including the recently signed Petroleum Industry Act. Senator Lawan used the opportunity of the visit to deny reports that federal lawmakers collected $10 million to pass the 3% allocation to the host communities as contained in the Act. The President met with several state governors within the week. The first among them is the Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum. Aside from discussing the security situation in the northeast, the Governor discussed the absorption of repentant Boko Haram members.
I came to brief Mr. President over the ongoing surrender by insurgents. People have completely lost their means of livelihood. We harvested a total number of over 50,000 orphans and widows. These are official figures. The unofficial figures are more than this. And right now, the whereabouts of not less than 10% of people of Borno State is not known to all of us.
He explains that some of the 2,600 insurgents that have so far surrendered in the state were forcefully conscripted into the Boko Haram sect as children. He made case for them to be absorbed rather than rejected, as suggested in some quarters.
Unless we want to continue with an endless war, I see no reason why we shall reject those that are willing to surrender. I'm in this business for the last 11, 12 years. I was attacked for more than 40, 50 times. I know the magnitude of this problem. More than 100,000 people were killed. I'm telling you, more than 100,000 orphans we have now. More than 100,000 widows we have now. And therefore, those that have surrendered shall be dealt according to the extant rules and regulations.
The President also met Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State after attacks in some communities within the state claimed several lives. The governor vows to end interreligious crisis in the state, insisting that the evacuation of students from schools for safety is too premature.
Some people will not stay in campus. If you look at it, it wasn't that people were killed in the campus. Nobody was killed in the campus. Some of them were those who went out. For what? We kept on making announcements, stay where you are. If you gave you numbers, if there's anything, there's any alarm, give us anywhere you are. Soldiers will go there, police will go there.
Meanwhile, the President met Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. After the meeting, the governor insists that the state is experiencing relative calm and there are no concerns about the effect of IPOB's sit-at-home order. President Muhammadu Buhari has announced the declaration of a profit after tax of 287 billion naira in the year 2020 by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. The announcement was made in a statement by the President Media Aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, which states that it is in fulfillment of an earlier pledge by the federal government to publicly declare the financial position of the NNPC. In another statement from Mr. Adesina, the president is commending the managers of the nation's economy following the outcome of the second quarter report by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, showing a third consecutive quarter of positive growth of Nigeria's economy, the highest quarterly growth in GDP since 2014. According to the statement, the president believes that report reflects Nigeria's economic rebound following the COVID-19 induced contractions seen in first and second quarter of last year. President Muhammadu Buhari has again tasked the Nigerian Immigration Service to hold counter crossings across the nation's borders and make Nigeria safer. President Buhari made the demand after a meeting with the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, Mr. Mohammed Babandede, directing that surveillance and control around the nation's borders be improved on. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, is insisting that the use of identity politics to access opportunities in all areas of Nigerian life is at the root of the lack of social cohesion. He made the observation at a dialogue and launch of the Social Cohesion Survey report.
We must recognize the ways in which we perpetuate institutional discrimination and cause people to see their identities as weapons for procuring opportunity, often at the expense of others. We see this whenever Nigerians are denied opportunity on the basis of their state of origin or because they are non-indigents. The classification of Nigerians as indigents and non-indigents is a form of apartheid and contradicts our declared aspirations towards equality and unity.
Meanwhile, Professor Osinbajo presided over the National Economic Council meeting where 8 states submitted their NSAS judicial panel's reports. However, a statement from the Office of the Vice President confirmed that 27 states have completed their assignments, remaining Lagos, who's expected to conclude theirs in October. The Council plans to begin consideration of the reports at the next meeting.
Welcome back. This week in the nation's capital, we're looking at the fines for gaseous emissions. According to the statement from the Abuja Municipal Area Council, the charge is for hazardous substances released into the air, water, or land during production from generators. How are businesses in Abuja reacting to this, considering the poor power supply in many parts of the FCT? Please watch this.
This is a common sight at business premises within the nation's capital. Blaring sounds of generators and their accompanying emissions are the only way these businesses can stay afloat in the light of poor electricity supply in Nigeria. Ahmed Muhammad owns a printing press, one of the many businesses in the UTC shopping complex in Gariki Area 10 of Abuja. Daily, Ahmed and his colleagues need constant electricity to get their jobs done. They rely on generators to ensure that they stay in business, and that takes a large chunk of their overhead.
Without the gen, no way. Even to pay tax, we will not be able to pay tax. Now, if there is power, that is electricity, constantly, everything flows normal. But without NEPA, even the generator we are using, we are still managing to pick up. This because of the expenses on generator is highly expensive.
We have not even been having it funny, okay? Paying our staffs, okay? Servicing and maintaining our generators, okay? Plus other, challenges that affect business environment, okay? So if the government introduced this, okay, it's indirectly a way of trying to push small and medium enterprises out of business.
However, the impact of constant use of generators is air and noise pollutions. The Abuja Municipal Area Council frowns at this development, and as part of efforts to curtail it, the Environmental Services Department of the Council notified businesses using generators and heavy-duty equipment of fees due to the Council for gaseous emission permits. The notice, which was signed by AMAC's Director of Public Health, Mr. Ahmed Haruna, states in part, "The management of Abuja Municipal Area Council Environment Services Department wishes to notify you of levy and fees due to Abuja Area Council for gaseous emission permit limit. This includes the discharge of harmful hazardous substances into the air, land, and water in Nigeria by the activities of industries, warehouses, banks, either from generators or heavy-duty drilling, production, construction and manufacturing equipment, as well as filling stations, and so on." This is in line with the provision of Section 2C of the 4th Schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Under the function of the Local Government Authority and Federal Environmental Protection Agency Act, FEPA, Part 3, Section 25, which establishes the local council authority to regulate, enforce and collect levies for the interest of public health importance and other relevant laws of National Environmental Health Practice Regulation 2016, which confers on the Council the power to regulate, inspect, control, and collect levies. For many businesses, the levy is unacceptable.
It will not all go well if especially the businessmen that are using generators are not to use the generator, in the sense that because of the poor power supply, no enough electricity, so it will affect their businesses. And as such, I will still encourage them to be using the generators, but for them to be paying taxes, the burden will fall on the consumers. Right now, because of the COVID-19 and the rest of those issues, people are still suffering. They have not recovered. Then you begin to lay taxes on generators again. And for the consumers, it will affect them seriously. So I'm with the opinion that generator use should still go on and taxes should not be imposed.
What has government done for us? So I'm the one buying fuel, I'm the one servicing my generator. Okay, I abandon the generator, get solar panel, and power my equipment for my business. Where would they get the tax from? You understand? So I think it's the responsibility of the government to make the business environment more friendly for us to key in and happily pay our taxes. Originally, the government are supposed to make the business environment more friendly, so that the business people like us would be, happy to pay our taxes. Sincerely, I think it is still responsibility of the government to provide some of those things.
The Abuja Municipal Area Council insists that any business that violates the directive would face sanction, arrest, and shut down. The fees range between 50,000 naira and 100,000 naira yearly. But the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry is asking the management of the council to suspend the levy, insisting that it will further increase the cost of doing business in the nation's capital. A statement which was signed by the president of the chamber, Alhaji Al-Mujtaba Abubakar, reads in part, "We call on the leadership of the Abuja Municipal Area Council as well as other government agencies to suspend the planned imposition of generator and equipment taxes, as this is inconsistent with the federal government's programs to create an attractive business climate for business owners. Imposition of new taxes like the generator and equipment taxes will not only be an additional burden to be borne by business owners, but will also accelerate the collapse of more businesses, deepen unemployment, and further hike inflation rate in the country. This is clearly not in the best interest of the government and people of the country." The gaseous emission permits limit scheme under AMAC is designed to curb air and noise pollution within the environment, but poor electricity supply in the country encourages the use of generators, which is responsible for these pollutions. Perhaps government should take the necessary steps to ensure improved electricity supply for businesses to thrive.
My guest on the program is Professor Aliyu Jauro, the Director General of the National Environmental Safety and Regulations Enforcement Agency. The agency has been sealing facilities across the country and trying to ensure industries embrace the United Nations Extended Producer Responsibility Program, or as it is commonly called, the buyback scheme. This is being done in light of the effects of climate change and plans to make Nigeria more climate friendly. Please watch this. Professor Jauro, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
You've had a few busy weeks closing down places. In fact, let me look at the last time. In the last 1 month, several facilities and industries in Kwara, Kano, Ogun, Osun, and Akwa Ibom. And that's just in the last 1 month. And the offenses that they're accused of breaking is violating environmental pollution. Talk to us a bit about the environmental pollution laws in Nigeria.
We have environmental regulations cutting across all aspects of the environment. There are those that deals with the brown environment, that's the industries. There are those that deals with the natural environment. That's the natural places like quarries and other natural settings. So these regulations specify what is needed to be done by those operating those facilities in order to protect the impact of what they do on the environment. So we do go there to monitor the activities to ensure that they abide by these regulations.
So these places that were closed down in these states, what laws did they break?
There are a lot of things to do with it. First of all, each of these facilities are expected to do what we call environmental audit and submit the report every 3 years, just for us to see that everything is going smoothly without impacting much on the environment. And also, before you set up any facility or industry, there is need for you to do what we call environmental impact assessment, EIA, to ensure that what you are going to start doing will not impact much on the environment, and to also provide solutions in case the process is going to impact on the environment. So there is need for this EIA. So a lot of places you discover, they will go and set up a facility or an industry without recourse to the Federal Ministry of Environment, which is the stipulated government authority that deals with the EIA. Without the EIA, they will just set up a facility.
So before you set up a facility, whatever industry you're trying to start
industry,
you have to go to the Ministry of Environment to get what rules you're supposed to adhere to.
Yes,
before you even begin.
Before you begin.
So let's talk about the one in Kano, for instance. What law did they break?
Well, there are a lot of facilities. We see 12 facilities in Kano.
12?
12 of them. And some of them are violation for the EIA. They set off the industries without doing the environmental impact assessment. Some of them refuse to do the environmental audit, which is expected to be done every 3 years. Some of them even refuse to send the monthly discharge report. They're supposed to monitor what they discharge into the environment and submit a report to us, and at the end of the year they are supposed to apply for a permit which is issued by the agency.
Let's come to the nation's capital. This is something a lot of business owners have been worried about. In fact, we saw a woman online not too long ago complaining about this particular law from the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Something about a fine by AMAC for industries using generators. The argument is that they emit these gaseous elements, they're bad for the environment. Is this a real thing? And what should business owners bear in mind? What do you make of this law?
I also heard about it over the media, and I'm planning to see how we can engage with them, because I believe that what they are doing, we also have a program in the pipeline which is going to be launched very soon, and it's going to be a nationwide program. But our own is not tailored towards imposing fines on those using the generators. We are going to test the emissions coming from the generators to ensure that it is within a certain limit. So it's National Generator Emission Control Program.
Are you going to go business to business?
We are going to go government offices, businesses, even individuals. We go and do the tests.
You would come to my house?
We come to your house and test your generator. So the
to ensure that the emissions are not exceeding a particular limit. What's the limit it's not supposed to exceed?
Well, there are, when you see there's this emission that is coming from combustion of fossil fuels, there are a lot of gaseous pollutants. We have the nitrogen oxides, we have the carbon oxide, the CO2, the CO, and we have the sulfur oxide. So these are some of the parameters we test, and some of them are part of the greenhouse gases. You know, the world is now talking about.
What am I supposed to do? Help me. Help me. How am I supposed to survive?
You are supposed to ensure.
I don't have electricity in my house. Many parts of the FCT have 8 hours of electricity.
What I'm talking about.
If I don't have electricity, what do you want me to do?
I'm not saying you shouldn't have electricity, and we are
no,
not.
I don't have already. I'm using this generator to take care of myself and my family. Maybe I have a newborn baby.
We are not going to stop you from using the generator.
But you're going to be checking to ensure that the emissions
is within a certain.
If it passes the certain number, then what happens?
We will ask you to fix it. To call the mechanic to ensure that it's moving smoothly. So we are not going to be imposing these huge fines.
Are people going to let you into their homes?
Yes.
When is it starting? Do the residents of Abuja know? This is breaking news for them? Abuja residents, people are going to come to your house from the Ministry of Environment to check the emissions from your generators.
Yes, but we can't just go into a house like that. There has to be some, and we are not starting with all categories of generators. The very big ones, we'll start with them, and we are trying to do this in order to meet up with the commitment of the government. One of the benefits is going to be part of our contribution to the national determined contribution for cutting down of carbon emission. So it's not just going there to get money. We are going to generate data, and we'll use it for even carbon credit bargain by the government. So it's not like what you are talking about, collecting 50,000 from businesses. You know, we are going to collect some little fees, testing fees, in order to ensure that we maintain the infrastructure and we pay for the services.
According to the Ministry of Environment, Nigeria is the biggest waste producer in Africa. 32 million tons of solid waste every year. And out of this massive figure, only 30% are collected, recollected, and recycled. Now, the UN introduced this extended producer responsibility scheme. It's called the buyback scheme, and Nigeria has keyed into this.
Yes.
Talk to us a bit about how much of this scheme Nigeria is implementing.
So the extended producer responsibility is a policy framework in which any producer, manufacturer of any item is saddled with the responsibility of taking back the item at the end of its life and including its packaging to reduce the impact of that product on the environment.
I mean, it's easy to do that with water bottles.
Yes.
And pure water sachets.
Yes.
But with other products, is it actually feasible?
There are a lot of products. So, for instance, I've mentioned our regulations. We have 34 regulations. Out of them, 9 of these regulations are on the brown environment, the manufacturing sector. So, in each of these regulations, there is provision for the extended producer responsibility, that is EPR. That is, whoever generates whoever manufactures any product should follow up to ensure that it doesn't impact on the environment, so that at the end of the day, they will take it back and recycle it.
Well, Professor Jawaro, it's a long journey ahead of you.
Yes, it is.
And we'll be looking forward to seeing how it works out. Thank you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Many thanks to Professor Jawaro for coming over on this week's program. You heard it here. The level of emissions from your generator is the problem, not the generator itself. so you can get it fixed. Find out what emission levels your generators should adhere to, either at home or at the place of business, and get an engineer to set it for you. I know it seems like such a hassle. If I had electricity, I would not need a generator. The generator is already cutting down my profit margins, and I'm barely above water. And now this. But it's the law. Planet Earth is our home, so let's do what we must. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you next time.